Hey everyone, it's Oliver from the Cattalyst.com and welcome back to my second video in my sales training series. Today, I'm going to be giving you my quick top tips on how to understand your customers. So let's get right into it. We all know that every customer is different and they all have different needs. However, there are things that you can say and do that will help you build a great relationship and sell your product in the process. So here we go with tip number 1. Rapport building is essentially being on the same wavelength as your customer, and it is key in any sales process, as you cannot expect your customer to buy from you if they do not buy you first. Ultimately, when people get to know you, they start to like you, and when they like you, they begin to trust you. And you are not selling anything without trust. The ideal way to build a successful relationship with your customer is by asking questions to create a genuine connection. Unfortunately, many salespeople default to stock questions. They're easy, they're safe, but there's a downside. They make it harder to build a true relationship. And these are questions like, how's the weather today? Or what did you have for breakfast? People will just switch off because they've heard these questions a million times. Your questions need to be personalized and unique. And in turn, you'll get more of an honest answer from your customer. For example, what gave you the idea to start your own business? Or, I see you live in Miami. Does that mean you travel a lot for work? In your LinkedIn summary, you mentioned loving football. How long have you been doing that for? This in turn will prompt your customer to be more open with you, and your relationship will start to grow. You need to know when to ask the right questions, as it is the questions that determine the flow of a sales conversation. And if you don't understand the problem, how can you offer a solution? When you start with your initial discovery, you need to be asking open-ended questions that elicit full answers. These types of questions start with who, what, when, where, why, and how. These are all great openers, as it invites the customer to give you as much information as possible, and the more you encourage them to speak, the more trust they start to develop towards you. And when you're ready to move on to a new topic or stage in the sales process, you should use different types of questions to help you elicit shorter responses. We'll talk more about questioning and how and when to use them in one of my upcoming videos in this series. But my final point on questioning is a well-known saying. We all have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And that's where tip number 3 comes in. If you do not listen to your customer, they will not buy from you, period. There are 3 main types of listening skills. 2 you should stay well clear of, and 1 that can help you win most of the time. The first one is passive listening, and the reason we do this is because we've done it ever since we were born. You're doing it right now, whilst I'm talking to you. You can hear the birds chirping, the wind blowing, or even the traffic going past your window. But we subconsciously ignore it, and it goes in one ear and out the other. And that's not something we should be doing when our customer is telling us what they need or what they're after, as it can lead to assumptions. And before we know it, we're offering the wrong product, and this proves to your customer that you've not been paying attention. The second is competitive listening. Again, something we do, and quite simply put, we're not listening to understand, we're listening to respond. Most of us do this when we're either having an argument, like with the wife, and others when we're being defensive and when we want to get our point across. And in sales, this would usually happen when objection handling or defending our product from negative comments happens. And this can lead your customer to putting up their barriers and not wanting to discuss anything further. The third, something that every salesperson should be doing with every prospect, and that is active listening. This is when you are taking every piece of information in, everything the customer is telling you, is allowing you to build that picture in your head of how exactly to sell this product to that customer, so you can bespoke your sales pitch. And as I mentioned to you, every customer is different, and if you can customize your product to meet their needs and their expectations, there is a significantly higher chance of them purchasing from you. So you have built a relationship, you've asked the right questions, and you have listened to everything they have had to say. No matter how generic your product is, this is the moment when you sell this product like you had this customer in mind when it was being created. And by now, they should have given you every piece of information you need in order to meet their needs and requirements. If for any reason you haven't, just cycle back round through the questioning and the listening section and gather more information from your customer. Make the story about them, not you. Nobody wants to hear a song and dance about your product. Orient your narrative around what they need and position your offering in the context of how it can solve their specific problems. Understanding your customers' needs should be at the center of what you are doing, whether you sell directly to individuals or businesses. And once you have this knowledge, you can use it to persuade potential and existing customers that buying from you and buying today is in their best interests. There you have it. 4 quick top tips to understand your customers. Of course, there is a lot more that I could talk about, and I will over the course of this series. Join me next week as we break down rapport building into more detail. And if you've got any specific questions that you want answered, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to fit them into next week's video. If you haven't done so already, please drop a like and leave a comment to share your thoughts. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know exactly when my next video is released. Thanks for watching and have a great week.